including a document camera, 5 free licenses, and a gift card. So sit down, get a ticket, it'll be great. My name is Kate Piland, and I work with GradeCam, and this is really a topic that's near and dear to me, so I was really happy I got the opportunity to come out. I was an instruction coach with a district that used GradeCam, so I really worked with teachers on strategies that they could use to better their teaching, help themselves, help the students, all of that was there. But GradeCam became kind of one of those powerful features to me, noticing that how much fatigue that we meet in a day, and grading fatigue is a real thing. It is kind of based in decision fatigue. Have you ever heard of that before? Have anybody heard of decision fatigue? Have you studied it? I don't know why. That's something that totally got into me. So it does come back to grading fatigue. So how we battle grading fatigue using GradeCam. So basically, decision fatigue is you make a lot of decisions in a day, and as you are making decisions, especially the more complex they are, you are depleting your brain tank. The more decisions you make, the less that you're able to do, and you make impulsive decisions. If you've ever tried to start a diet, trying to choose your meals at the end of the day is super complex because you've made decisions all day long. And to choose something good at the end of the day, you just choose to go to McDonald's because it's a lot easier, or we're going to eat a bowl of cereal. So that's why they tell you to meal plan. So there is a lot of science behind that decision fatigue, but there are a lot of professionals out there that got it figured out, or at least they're trying stuff. So you got Mark Zuckerberg, who pretty much wears the same thing every day because that is not a decision he has to make. What am I going to wear today? So as he's going back to work, he just puts on his gray shirt and his hoodie. Steve Jobs did the exact same thing for many years. This is how they just reduce the number of decisions that they have to make so they can save time for those more powerful decisions down the road, including former president. He talks about how he always would just wear those gray or blue suits because he's got bigger decisions to make. He didn't want to make an impulsive decision. So decision fatigue, like I said, is something that's very near and dear to me, personally, professionally, but I just saw it when we started working with teachers and all that they want to do. And this is new teachers, old teachers, teachers who've been in it forever, teachers that just started, ones that are halfway through, just looking at their habits. So this all links back to grading fatigue. So grading fatigue is the number of grading decisions you make. As you go through a paper or a document, reading student after student after student, handwriting, much less figuring out what did they write? Did they mean to write that word? What is that word? Those are a lot of decisions that you're making. So as you're making, what's the result of this fatigue? You either do nothing. So it says that one does not simply grade papers at night. Basically, you're saying, I'm not going to get these done. Everybody gets an A. Yay! What kind of productive assignment was that? I mean, sometimes it's okay to do that, but it's not going to get you any productive. You can't keep doing it. The other result is you'll act impulsively, meaning you just grade after grade after grade, and then you just start giving them A's or giving them F's. But is that effective? Are you truly using that grade the way you want it to? And we're grading for learning. We're not grading to give a number. So that's what this is about, is battling grading fatigue so you're actually getting good, effective grades. So how can we do that? I've got 4 strategies that we're going to work with here. So you're going to define the purpose. What is the purpose behind that assignment? If you're going to give it, what are you going to do with it? What do you want to pull out of it? Have your purpose in mind. So you're not just doing it to do it. Be consistent. The more consistent you are, like Mark Zuckerberg, who just wore the same thing over and over again, that's one less unique decision that you have to make every single day. So stay as consistent as possible so you're not relearning and straining your brain more than you have to. Also, keep it simple. Keep it simple where you can. If you can use one thing over and over again, if you don't have to think about that decision there and do the same thing going forward, it's going to be a simple process. Also, if it's a simple process for other people, they can catch on much faster. Number 4 is make it count. So if you are going to deplete your brain tank for a grading decision, make sure it's worth it. Make it count. You want it to be productive and helpful in everything that you can do, because if you're going to use it, make it worth it. GradeCam, what I love about it all was the fact that GradeCam could hit all of these strategies in a variety of ways. It wasn't just one way. I was meeting a lot of different needs, which if you take it back to my be consistent and keep it simple, stick with one thing. Let's make it have the most power that it possibly can. So how does GradeCam do this? So that's just an overview, but I'm not going to watch that right now. So I'm going to go into defining the purpose. Which does mean, is this a pre-test, post-test? Is it just a spot check? Does it have a deeper meaning? Or are you just trying to get a surface level? Do they know what's going on so we can move to the next level? Know your purpose, because if you don't have your purpose, you don't know necessarily what question you want to collect. GradeCam has such a variety of questions that you can choose from. This includes multiple choice, which does great getting a spot check. Do you understand the content? Or do I want to do a rubric capture question, same form? I want to go ahead and get a more deeper understanding. What was their thinking? What was their thought process? Those serve 2 different purposes, but they can both be graded in GradeCam on the same form. Next is a formative or a summative. So is it going to be 100 questions? Please don't do that to your kids too often. 100 questions, or is it going to be 10 questions? It doesn't matter. GradeCam will do it. So making sure that you're just knowing your purpose ahead of time and not just throwing it out there, because you're more likely not to pull out what you want. Next, once you have a different form type, we've also got credit and scores. These are kind of the unsung hero of the GradeCam world. These are just a different form type. Everybody's like, yeah, you do multiple choice. Yeah, I do a lot of other things too. If I'm doing spot checks, hey, did you read 5 pages this week? I'm just going to go, boom, you got the credit or not. Homework check, turned in, you just scan it, boom, you got it. If that's the purpose behind it, just to make sure you got your homework turned in, okay, use it that way. That's its purpose. Know what you're doing. Next is consistency is key. Single tasking is super important. So my next thing that I always like to talk about is multitasking is a myth. You actually don't do it. You have brain shifting. The more your brain does that, your brain gets tired. So single tasking is super important, so staying consistent as much as you can, not shifting too much. So routines are good for that. So be consistent. Same tool, less questions. This is a lot of for you, for IT, for students, all of that. But if you can stay with the same tool, when you go in, you know what the reports are going to look like. You know what the tool is. You know how you're going to create it. Same tool, less questions. I'm not relearning every time. And I was that tech person. I was a tech coach. I wanted to learn everything. But in the end, was that productive for my brain? Not necessarily. For IT folks, if one teacher wants to do a form this way, another teacher wants to do a form that way, if the teacher's going to do that way, that's great. They're all going to come back to the same spot. Different forms, different needs, different subjects. Also for students, think about students. If they see the same form similar every time, they stop asking questions about the form and they start asking questions about content. We don't want them to say, how do I need to fill this out? Because then they're not getting to what they really need to know. Don't do decisions for your kiddos too. One item at a time. So this is a beautiful little key. I love that it came in there, and it's called the by-question grading. So you learn this strategy probably pretty early on in teaching. I'm going to grade all of question 3 and get those done, and I'll go to my next one. GradeCam made it easy by putting a button in there. So I hit that button, choose my question, and just scroll down, and I'm grading one question at a time. Now think about if that question wasn't actually content from the students in response to a question, but what question you have about today's lesson. I put it in there, I have my students write that in, that is captured as an image, they scan on the way out the door. Guess what? I'm going to read my by question. What questions did they have? I'm going to address those questions first thing tomorrow morning. But again, I have a single task, I have a focus, and I'm looking at one thing at a time. What happened? Oh, so next is keep it together. The more and more you can put stuff all in one place, the easier it's going to be for you. It's an easier place for the kids. Like I said, reports come back the same. GradeCam also can do paper versions or digital versions. What I love about that is the reports come back to the same place. You have a class of 10. 5 of those kids need paper, 5 of those kids need digital because they just learn in different ways. We teach in different ways. All the reports come back to the same place. Less one tool, less questions. The fact that it's so flexible for different teaching styles and learning styles is super powerful. Again, make it work for what you need, and it can do it. My third step is keep it simple. So automation, let a computer help you where it can. It's okay. Student involvement in this transfer. I got to show you the transfer thing. It's going to be awesome. So keep it simple is kind of a good partnership between you and the computer. And it's okay to let the computer help you out. If the computer can do some of those questions, let him do it because that's less decisions that you have to make. On the form up here behind me with the penguin, if you look at the first 4, those are multiple choice. The computer's going to grade that. The next 2 are handwritten responses. GradeCam will grade that. That's pretty cool. It reads that and grades it. So it's going to grade for those top 6 questions. Now I'm down to the last 2. The last 2 are going to be teacher input because we have to get knee-deep. What's going on with the student's thought process? What do I need to do? It's a little bit more drawn out with the diagram and things like that. But it's all on one tool. And I'm going to let the computer grade 6 of those questions, and I'm only going to grade 2. So if that is an 8-question quiz and you have 100 students, you have 800 questions. Now if I am only grading 2, that's 200 questions. That's a great less that you have to think about. Plus, if you look at that test behind me, the ones you really want to read and know knee deep about are the bottom 2. But how many decisions have you made for the top before you even get there? So you don't have to do that in GradeCam. Let GradeCam do it and you tackle right into those questions. Then when you jump to those first, you can jump to those first. So the next part of keeping it simple is let the students take ownership. If you've never done student reflective or student progress checkers, you definitely got to check into that. Anybody can do it without GradeCam, but GradeCam does make it easy with their student view. They come up, they scan that little pop-up that's going to come up there. It's going to show them their score right away, so they take their score, and I write it in my form and say, I'll have them reflect on it. Which ones did you get wrong? Why do you think they got wrong? What do you think the right answer is? Give me evidence based on that. I'm not thinking about that. The students are thinking about that, and we want them to take that ownership and that metacognitive ability to make their own learning processes. And I'll tell you what, students love getting their feedback just as immediately as a teacher does. That is true life. Letting them see their scores right there and walk away. I have a kiddo that nothing kills me more than when she walks away from me and I say, hey, how'd your math test go? I don't know. Okay, they want to know. They want to know it and they want to take ownership of it. They are so excited to see that. So last in the Keep It Simples is the grade transfer. And if you haven't seen the grade transfer live, in person, you've got to stop at one of these stations when you get finished with me today. Because it is one key, transfers to any online grade book, and that's it. Grading is not a productive part of your teaching day. It doesn't help your kids learn, but you are communicating your grades, so it's important to put it out there. With one key, that is done. And then you go back to teaching or go look at your data. There's a lot of things you could do. So make it count. In the end, those results, immediate action, that's all what you need. Now, I told you, I don't know if I told you now, I'm saying it numerous times, but I was an art teacher. Numbers confused me, but I love pretty pictures. Okay, I like pictures a lot. So numbers and trying to figure out what kind of data do I need to look at? How important is that? I get that I have to do it, but how do I put it together? So GradeCam finally made that data count. It's super important. The fact that it was immediate, again, don't kill your brain tank by having to switch those kids back. I taught this to you last week, but now we're going to come back and you missed all these and I'm going to reteach everything again. That's not helpful. If it's immediate, I do the switch right after lunch. The grade, and then we come back after lunch, we do it. So again, you're not depleting that brain tank by making a decision. It's multitasking that doesn't happen. You're switching your brain again. Next to make it account is to share the load. GradeCam makes it super easy to share your assessments and your data so you can work with your team of teachers and make those PLC conversations happen. It's all in front of you, so if I look up at my scores, so if I look at Darren, Garrett, and Kelly, they're on this side. So Garrett and Kelly didn't do so well on that second standard over that Darren did. That's great, but I'm going to go talk to him. What did you do that made it that much better? How did you get your score up there? We can now have a conversation and the data's right in front of me so we can make plans for our next unit or how we need to reteach and stuff like that. It does make it a lot easier, makes it actionable. And then the next is that focused instruction. Nothing killed me more when I had a student come up and say, hey, I don't understand. The first question I always ask, what don't you understand? Next question they say, or the next statement they have, I don't know. Okay? So now I'm going to take their test, I'm going to scan it, we're going to look at it, we're going to break it down. Now, I want you to look at Charles. If I looked at his overall score, he probably had an 80%. Badly, sadly, what I'm going to say is I probably looked at it and said, yeah, you're doing okay. But I can't take that kid any further because I don't know what he was missing. He totally bombed 2 standards. So how can I help him? I'm not going to reteach him everything. It's going to kill me and it's going to kill him. It's going to take way too much time, but I can take those 2 that he just totally didn't do well on and we're going to focus reteach. Also for my other kiddos that may not have done well, I'm going to teach one standard in particular over again, but if I have them at 100%, let's send them to enrichment. But I know where I can send them if they're ready for it. Or what do I need to reteach back on? So in the end, there are those 4 strategies, and you can use these strategies very, very well and find different ways you can do it to totally break down on how many decisions and grades and things that you have to do. Make it, define your purpose, be consistent, keep it simple, make it count. It is all there. But GradeCam does help you battle it. It is amazing, all those tools that are there, and they are all in one tool to keep it simple and stay consistent. So I don't always say just battle grading fatigue, is you're going to conquer grading fatigue, because that really is what it's about. You've got to try it. I am a firm believer in it, and I love it, and I can talk about it all day long. But I'm going to wrap it up because we are going to do some little handout drawings, and then we're going to have our big drawing here in about 15 minutes. Anybody have questions about anything at all? What strategy are you going to try first? On the spot. It is a decision you have to make, and guess what? You've made a lot tonight. Yeah, you're all brain tired. I've decided there has to be a word for this one. If you've never come to ISTE before, your brain's like, so not prepared for it. It is. I tell you, the thing that I learned the most is keep it simple. As much as you can. All right, we ready to draw?